I do a lot of work around speeding up slow loading WooCommerce stores. The reason for that is twofold. Firstly, it's customer focused. A customer who comes to a site and it takes an age to load, an age to check out, an age to move through your catalog is more likely to abandon cart or just click away from your store. People don't like slow loading sites. Amazon did a study for every 0.01 of a second, every 1/10 of a second slower a site is to load, that affects 1% of revenue. So if giants like Amazon are really focusing on speed, then it must be an issue. The second reason is our friends at the big search engines. So Google does not like slow loading sites. Again, they've done their work. They know that carts are abandoned. So they don't send as much traffic to slow loading sites. And I'm pretty sure it costs more in ads for a slow loading site as well, because you're sending expensive traffic your way to a slow loading site. People are just going to abandon, and you've paid for the advertising, you're not getting the benefit. So I've found a new tool to add to my performance tuning arsenal. What has always been an issue for me is getting visibility of which part of the code is slow. That's okay if you've got your own VPS, expensive virtual private server. You can install tools like New Relic, which gives you visibility of the code stack. But if you're on a shared hosting, it's not so easy. So I found this new tool and I'm adding it to my performance tuning arsenal, and it's called Code Profiler. Let's jump over to the back end of my site and I'll show you what this looks like. So here we are at the Code Profiler. I've bought the Pro version. I'm going to use this on my client sites. I'm not impressed by it. I've paid $79 for a 10 site license. I'll probably need more for that once I start rolling it out to my clients. So what we can do is build a performance profiler of any of the pages or the dashboard of your site. So let's give you an example. So we're going to look at the website front end, and obviously the main site is the home page, but we could do the cart, we could do the checkout, but let's just do the home page. I can be an unauthenticated user or an authenticated user. Let's go unauthenticated. Set the theme, and then we can set which type of user agent somebody's using. So let's say somebody's come to my site on a desktop using Chrome. Give it a name. And start profiling. So it builds up a profile of what code's been called, what's taken the time, and it's going to give us a breakdown we can look at. So it gives me various options that I can look at. Go from the top to the bottom, we've got plugins, scripts, methods, database queries, remote connections. Now that's really useful, but I'll come to that in a minute. Disk I/O, not so much on my site, and file I/O. So let's look at the plugins. Immediately I can see that Elementor is causing me problems. It's taken nearly a second to load up and execute and do what it needs to do. I knew this anyway, and I'm looking to migrate my site to Generate Press, which is a much lighter weight theme. But if this was a client, I can immediately look at that and say, right, Elementor, WooCommerce, Astra theme, Advanced Custom Fields Pro are things I need to look at. So it's really useful. So for example, if I saw a plugin that was taking a lot of time that I didn't need to have installed, perhaps I'm not using Elementor anymore, I could drop Elementor Pro and save some time there. Next up, and this is where it gets really exciting for me, scripts and performance. It tells me exactly which scripts are taking the time to run. So I can see this Elementor one is taking half a second to run. If we have custom code, that would be highlighted here. That's often an issue on the sites I look at. But having that visibility and knowing exactly which bit of the code is causing problems is incredibly useful as a developer looking to speed up a site. So it gives me an entire list of everything that's run, ordered by time it takes. So again, Elementor looks like a problem. Advanced custom field I might look into. So let's look at the methods and functions. So we've got the script that's causing the problem, and then we can go right down to the actual function that's causing the problem and see the time there. Really, really useful. We can see which database queries are slow. So we can see again, this is my logo, so that's going to be Astra and Elementor. They're at the root of this. So I know this has come from my Astra theme, so perhaps I could look at the code underneath that, and I could cache this request for my logo, put it in a transient so it's faster to load. So getting this visibility gives me loads of options on how I can make things faster. This will be a game changer on a lot of WooCommerce stores. I haven't got any on my site, but remote connections. So having visibility of API calls to other services. So consider this, you're running an aggregator that sends your products out to Facebook shops, to Amazon and all that. And your site is running slowly, so you dig into those remote connections and you can see that that update is running frequently and it's sending updates to Amazon, and it's taking a couple of seconds in that API call. Brilliant. Didn't have that visibility previously before having a look at this code, unless you implemented something really expensive like New Relic, which requires its own virtual private server. Got some I/O, so if your site is doing a lot of file I/O, that would appear here. Not such a big problem with mine as far as I can see. Statistics of where the I/O is. And we've got some disk stuff as well, so it's file and disks being written to. See, that's really an issue on my site. It doesn't do a lot of file I/O, but say your site uploads files and saves them from forms, that kind of stuff. So you can see if that is running slowly. Not only can you do the front end, you can do custom URLs, you can do the back end, and that's something I see a lot as well. So people say, my front end's fine, but the dashboard is really, really slow. Why is that? Tends to often be database issues, so immediately we're going to have visibility of the dashboard. We could look at these database queries for the dashboard and see what's taking the time. So potentially advanced custom fields could be an issue here. We can see the remote connections on my dashboard. Like I said, a tenth of a second is spent speaking to WordPress.org. So if it was another issue, perhaps speaking to the back end of another service, we get visibility of that here. Under the advanced options, we can also post and get data from the endpoints if you wanted to. So perhaps you have an API running on your WooCommerce store that you want to test. We could get information from a particular URL. We could post information to a URL and see how quickly that returns. So not only can we test the front end, the back end, but we can also test the API of your WooCommerce store. This really is a game changer for me for WooCommerce stores who sit on hosting that's not at the upper end. I'll be using this to profile customers and clients going forward. Yeah, real game changer. If you're interested in me reviewing your WooCommerce store to find bottlenecks and to speed it up, please do get in touch. Go to neilmatthews.com and click on the Work With Me button.